Now we are going to begin our session. Thank you everybody for joining this workshop on machine learning using Python, organized by Department of Computer Science and IQAC of Prashant Chandra Maulanobish Mahavidyalaya in collaboration with A.K. Choudhury School of IT, University of Calcutta. We have here with us our special guest, Dr. Soumya Sen, Dr. Saptarshi Goswami, our principal sir, Dr. Shyamul Kormokar, with us, and my dear colleagues and participants. Now I would request our principal sir, Dr. Shyamul Kormokar, to welcome and introduce our resource persons and participants. Welcome address over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. We are proud to announce that the Computer Science Department of our college, in association with IQAC, has organized workshop in collaboration with A.K.I. Choudhury School of IT, University of Calcutta. We are grateful to the authority of A.K.I. Choudhury School of IT for their collaboration. I also welcome all the students, scholars, and participants of the program. I take the opportunity to thank Kamala Mitro, IQAC coordinator of this college, always takes part actively in all programs of our college, and also to the teachers of the Department of Computer Science to organize such a workshop, which is most relevant to our students and scholars working with computation problems. This workshop will be continued for 5 days. Today is the first day. I convey my thanks to Professor Amlan Chakraborty, Professor and Director A.K.I. Choudhury School of IT, University of Calcutta. He is Dean of Faculty of Science and Engineering, Calcutta University, and his area of interest is quantum computing, algorithm, quantum circuit synthesis, and computer-aided design, CAD, tool development. I would like to mention that he spent a few years for his research work at Indian Statistical Institute. Hence, we expect unconditional support from him to enrich our computer science department. Also, thanks to Dr. Saptarshi Goswami, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Bangabasi Morning College, University of Calcutta, and Dr. Soumya Sen, Assistant Professor, the Department of BTech, and also TIC of first year, University of Calcutta. We are grateful that they agreed to join our workshop as resource persons. They are all expert in this field and will help train up the students, scholars, and interested persons about the computer language Python. Actually, machine learning is a type of artificial intelligence that provides computer with the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Machine learning frequently on the development of computer program that can change and expand to new idea. Python is an easily adaptable programming language that offers a lot of features. Its concise syntax and open source nature promote readability and implementation of programs, which makes it the fastest growing programming language in current times. Python has various other advantages, which gives it an edge over other popular programming languages such as Java, C++. It is open source general purpose language. It is object oriented, procedural, functional, easy to interface with other language, C, Java, Fortran, etc. Easy to interface with C++ and has great interactive environment. Python is an interpreted and dynamically typed language, whereas Java is a compiled and statically typed language. Python code does not need to be compiled before being run. Java code, on the other hand, needs to be compiled from code readable by humans to code readable by the machine. All the interesting features of Python will be discussed by our resource persons in 5 days. We hope the students will be benefited and will enjoy the e-learning. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the welcome speech. Now I would like to move on our main session, that is our lecture part. Before that, I would to introduce our speaker, Dr. Soumya Sen. Dr. Soumya Sen is an assistant professor in A.K. Choudhury School of Information Technology and also teacher in charge in the department of first year of 4 years of BTech under University of Calcutta. Dr. Sen has joined A.K. Choudhury School of Information Technology in March 2009. He has been awarded with PhD technical degree in 2016 from Department of Computer Science and Engineering, University of Calcutta. Before joining A.K. Choudhury School of Information Technology, Dr. Sen also worked in IBM India Private Limited and RS Software. His industrial expertise includes ERP and data warehouse. Currently, his research area interests are data warehouse and OLP2, big data, data mining, distributed database. Dr. Sen has around 80 research papers published in reputed peer-reviewed journals and international conferences. He has 3 patents registered in USA, Japan, and South Korea. He has also published 2 books with Springer in the form of Springer Briefs. His research collaborations include institutes like Foscari in University, Italy, Wilna State University, USA, Rutsu Kizai University, Japan, Ara Institute of Canterbury, New Zealand, California State University, USA, National Institute of Technology, Durgapur, India, etc. Dr. Sen is a reviewer of many international journals and PC members and reviewer of many international conferences across the world. So, without much delay, I would like to start the session. Over to you, sir. Dr. Sen.
Thank you, Professor Dev, for introducing me. And I also like to thank Professor Shamul Kormokar, Principal of Prashanto Chandra Mahalabanish College. This is really a very interesting for us because department from the undergraduate college is collaborating with our department for organizing this particular workshop. I wish this workshop is going to be very much successful. Today, I am going to present a lecture, and after that, Professor Saptarshi Goswami will give the hands-on for 3-day session. Professor Saptarshi Goswami is currently in Bangladesh Morning College, but he is very strongly associated with our department. We have a data science lab in our department. He is the lead scientist, and actually he took the initiative to form this one. And after that, Professor Chakraborty, that is the director of our department, Professor Amlan Chakraborty, will deliver the lecture on the final day. So I don't want to waste the time much, and I'm directly going to the presentation. I am just keeping my video off. I think video is not required. So I'm just going to starting my presentation. Thank you. Okay, hope this one is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for this particular workshop, the lecture that I am going to give you, that is intelligent technique for data analysis. This particular workshop is on the machine learning. But before going to the machine learning, but one of the motivation of the machine learning is going to do the analysis of the data, and I am just going to introduce some of the methods that will help how to analyze the data, and along with that I shall give a brief introduction of the machine learning. Actually, there are many techniques which are already there, like classification, clustering. This type of things have been discussed in data mining for many years. Right now, all these things are coming under the purview of machine learning, because machine learning is currently going to comprises of the many things like statistical analysis, the data mining, the visualization. The many perspectives are coming under the machine learning, and machine learning is getting immense popularity throughout the world. Regarding one particular thing, I can share that the last year, the number of papers that have been cited by the different research in that machine learning and AI is the top. That is, machine learning is AI is the most is the most important area of research. You can think in this way, because for that particular domain it got high citations over any field, including medical, other engineering. How important the machine learning is, and many of you are also aware of that. So I am just going to start with the data mining. Now, before going to the data mining, I like to give an example. All of us are aware of the traditional database system. In traditional database system, what is the major focus? The major focus is to maintain the transaction. So it is often popularly known as OLAP, which is called online transactional processing. Now, in online transactional processing, what was the main motivation? The main motivation is to ensure that the transactions that are being performed, they are being performed correctly. If required, we can access the data later. And in this way, now if one transaction takes place, suppose for that particular year, the audit has been done, and after the audit has been done, we just keep this data in the backup storage. And then this happened for a lot. But over the time, people understood that these data that are being stored in the database for a long, why I just keep them as a dump data. That's been, the data is important only for doing the transaction, the for the audit purpose, and after that we are just not looking into the data anymore. So this, we can say, somehow it is a wastage of data, because when we have so much of data in our hand, why we are not utilizing them for other purposes. One particular thing I like to say, that how the research actually starts. The research actually starts not with a solution, rather by identifying the problem. Obviously, today we are studying many methodology of machine learning and this type of thing. But one thing I like to say to all the participants, that okay, you are learning a particular technique. That's very good. How it works, what solution it is giving, that's very important for us to know. But I request you, whenever you are going to start a new topic of machine learning, or not only machine learning, any other subject in our computational domain, you should think that why the people at that time thought of this particular thing. Because unless there was no thought process, a particular problem area cannot emerge. Now, once the problem area is emerging, many solutions are coming. But it is much more important that you are thinking of the what problems the people are facing with the existing technologies, or not only about the problem, what are the different limitations that are not being covered in the current solution. So the people started, so in this way you have to identify what a particular problem domain is, and from that you can identify a good area of research, and from that you can give the solution. So similarly, what happened, the people started to think that I have so much of data. Now with so much of data, why we should keep it in the backup storage once the, suppose the audit is over? Instead of that, if we are going to use this data for doing certain operation. Now what could be the certain operation? Now for a retail industry, or any organization who are doing the sale, different type of sale of product. The sale of their product has been taken place for the last few years. Now, once they are going to identify that, that really help them to identify a better business solution. Because once they identify, because from there they can identify maybe certain period of time their business is high, at certain period the business is low. Even they can identify the very maybe for some special holiday the product, the sale of certain product is increased, at certain time the sale of certain product decrease. Now these are the things that they need to identify. Now based on that they can take many decisions. What are the many decisions? If they find that the sale of a particular product increase at certain time, and might be in the store that product is no more available, then they need to increase the production of that particular product. Now how they are doing? They are doing based on the old data that is available. Now it is also important to identify that, suppose generally this record is not being kept, which record that the product is not available, hence the customers are coming and not getting the product and they are leaving. Now this is one could be very important thing to understand, that if a particular product the customer is looking for but that is not available, it is also a very valuable thing that we often miss. Because if we miss, the customer can go to another shop, and if they get the product they will purchase from there. So you are not only losing a customer, you are throwing opportunity to the customer to go to another particular shop, and the customer might start to think that in this particular shop the product is not available which I am looking for, but in another shop that is looking. So next time, instead of visiting your shop first, that customer can go to another shop. So this is going to be a big business loss for you. So this is very important by not analyzing the thing, and as well as this is what also important, what other data we should collect. This is a data that we often miss, but if we keep track and if we know that the customer is leaving the your shop, why, and if you take the information he is not getting a certain product, that is going to improve your business. And if required, in your system you can add this particular data that what things are not available at certain point of time. So in this way, what is going to happen, you can improve your business with the old data that you have. There are many other perspectives, because a business is a very complex thing. Sorry, if the it's not only that, the if you want to increase the production of certain product, it is you also need to plan that beforehand, because for a particular product you need to purchase raw material, so you need to collect more raw material from the market so that you can produce the product that you are looking for within a time. So it's a very important thing that how we are going to analyze the data and what are the different point of analyzing the thing. Now, the data mining, this is the role of the data mining that is going to play here. Another very important term, which is called knowledge discovery and database, because we want to get the knowledge, because knowledge is something that is coming from our, because it's not just the, we are learning the thing, but if we are applying the thing properly, then we can say our knowledge is growing. So from these things, we need to ensure that the knowledge we are getting from the system. So for getting the system, you need to make the system intelligent enough to extract the knowledge. So that's mean, because how we can make a system knowledgeable, that's mean within that system we need to incorporate different algorithm, different processing capability, so that it can come up with the valuable information. Because a knowledgeable person is who? A knowledgeable person who can also give you not only the bookish knowledge, rather the application knowledge also. And in the business domain, the application knowledge is very much important, because for example, in the way the business has been performed in 2019 and the organization that are performing the business in 2020, due to the COVID is totally different. Now the organization who can quickly switch to the new mode of delivery, that is very important. Even for your college to, they are organizing this particular workshop in online mode. I'm sure that no one in your college has thought to that they are going to organize a workshop in the online mode this year. Obviously, if they have a plan, they thought that it's like the traditional way. So it's the your college officials, they are also very much knowledgeable, so they have organized this one in the online mode. So we can, this is the thing that how we are going to apply our knowledge. Now the data mining is such a thing, it is applied in all sorts of business. So I'm just giving some of the names, and if you want to make every business more agile, you have to use different, you have you have to apply different data mining techniques. Okay, am I audible?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I audible? Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay, okay, fine, fine. I just thought the connection has been disconnected. Okay, fine. And the sharing is going on fine. Okay, okay. Thank you. Just now. I'm just giving in this particular slide. I'm taking this one as a black box structure. I think many of you know what is black box. I'm not going to the details of the black box, because black box is something that where the how the internal things are being done, we are not aware of that. We are just going to know about the input and output. So in the machine learning methodology, we really don't bother that when we are at the application end, that how the internal things are being going on. We just do, okay, we are taking a desirable output, that is we are happy with that. So right now, as a we are present in the form of the black box structure, what the thing is that we are feeding certain data into the system. The data could be OLTP data, the data could be OLAP data, and at the end we are getting some result, the computer the result, which is coming up obviously with some business knowledge, business value, business intelligence, whatever we say. Now for that, what is going to happen inside? Now as the researcher of this particular domain, we have to we actually work in the internal portion as well as in the business value, because somehow we want to represent the data, that is also important right now. So we just want to see that what are the two things we want.
Sir,
Yeah, tell.
sir, participants request to move the full screen mode, presentation mode.
Okay, 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 sure,
Yes, sir.
sure. It is done. It is done.
No, sir.
No, sir.
But I
No, sir.
not yet. But it is showing full screen. Right now, the option that is showing to me exit full screen, it is showing.
Okay, sir. Please continue.
Okay, sir.
Okay, just is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think it is full screen mode right now.
Sir, presentation mode.
Now, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh,
Now it's
okay,
perfect.
okay, fine. Okay. So the two things, the discovery of data inside mean the different type of machine learning algorithm that we study, that we apply. These are the area where we are going to think of the different data analysis technique. These things are covered in the discovery of data inside. And another thing, the development of the data product. Now, when we are developing the product, there are many issues. Not only the execution of the algorithm and this type of thing, the visualization is there. Now another thing is that that there could be many access to the system. There are the problems like load balancing. So in order to make sure that when an algorithm is executing at the production side, there are different other things that are also you need to take care for the better execution. Now we can view the data mining as a multidisciplinary tool, which is obviously for data mining we require data, so we require the database, we require the machine learning. But right now you can think that data mining is also come under machine learning. Now there are the different statistical methodologies that are being applied, even that is also coming under the purview of machine learning. And obviously the different visualization technique, because when you are going to show that outcome of your business, you require some visualization method so that you can show that our method is working well. And not only for the business value, that whenever we are actually doing some research in the area of machine learning, we really need to give different sorts of result. We need to compare the result, and you should learn the different visualization technique so that you can express your algorithm as a better one. So it is also important how you can show your method as the more effective one, because somehow even you are doing your research, it is also like selling your paper, that our paper is good, in terms of these things. So due to that reason, the different visualization technique can help you to show that how it is being done. So when you are writing a paper, it is very important you should give certain comparative study, because often if you don't give the comparative study, your paper will be rejected and the reviewer will ask for that, why there is no comparative study, or why you are not showing the your method is better compared to others. So for that reason, you some statistical data you can represent in some statistical data, but the visualization among that the people visualization is very easy to understand how it is going on. Regarding this KDD, knowledge discovery in database, what are the different steps we use to perform? I'm just going through them one after one. The first important thing is data cleaning, because the data with which we are working, often these data are not often being correct. You need to identify why the which particular data are correct. I like to there are one thing is that in the earlier days when the survey is being done in manual mode, often the people who are responsible for the survey, they put the false data because they don't want to visit to the every people, and the people don't want to give the time to visit to the every people. So for that reason, they put the false data. So when you are you will say to your friend that please give the good review of your product. Okay, now this could happen, the people who are writing the review about your restaurant, they are writing the review for the first time. Okay, and they are giving the 5-star rating. And also the reverse thing could be possible, that the for your competitor you are writing the false review, the and the you ask your friend that you write the false review for this particular restaurant that is beside me, so that I get more customer. Now the system, which is actually where from you are getting the review, the customers that are reading the review, they will be get the wrong review about the product. The good product could be written as bad product, bad product could be written as good product. So it is also right now a very interesting research area, that how you are going to identify which are the authentic reviews. So I'm just giving a research problem that how it needs to happen. Next one is given as the data integration. It is very important, the data integration, because the data can come from many sources. Okay, the data can come from many sources, and the underlying data might be in different platform. One thing is that suppose when you are collecting the review of a product, it might be possible from some sources you are getting review in online medium. The people are directly writing the review in an online system. For some people, they are writing even the review in terms of the SMS. Okay, maybe some people who cannot give them from by telecall, you are taking now integrated. And another very interesting area of data integration could be like that. Suppose one company has acquired another company. You know that the Sun Pharmaceutical acquired Ranbaxy, Oracle and acquired Sun Microsystem, like this. Now the underlying database that these companies are using could be different, but ac- once they have acquired another company, so then what is going to happen, that in that case another company's database, they should treat in the same way that they are doing for their own database. Otherwise the business will be misleading. So it is very important that how you are integrating uh, the data from different platform into the same way. So this is a very interesting area, also area of research, because suppose you have heard of XML is a semi-structured data model. There are many works have been done how the data from different format can be taken into the XML, so that the different data can be processed in the same way, and we can take the decision. So there are many things, and even with the big data technologies are coming, there are different big data methodologies. Now the data is available in different format. It is also important how you can integrate them. So this is very interesting. The next one is the data selection. Now when you are actually going to work with this data for the analysis, maybe all the data are not required. Okay, so you really need to identify that what data are important. Maybe if you are a big retail store like Pantaloons or Big Bazaar, so there you can find that are the many products are available, and how to organize the product, how much product you should order, these are very important. So data selection is required for them, because there are certain products for which that you don't want to do any analytical processing. For example, in a Kolkata, how many of the person is going to purchase suppose a golf stick? Okay, so it is very few in number. So for that the analytical study is not required. Even if you have the 5 golf stick in your showroom, that can work for 6 months. So you should not increase more data to the system. So those data which are interesting for the analysis, you are going to do this. And the next one is the data transformation. The data transformation is very interesting. Now in the database, the data, how the data is available, when we purchase a particular product, we get the bill and we get the particular timing, that maybe at the at 1 p.m. 2 minutes 1 p.m. and we have purchased a product. Okay, now and we have purchased suppose hardly how many products, we can purchase 5 6 products like this. Now for an organization like Big Bazaar or Pantaloons, they have nothing with these 5 to 6 products. So when they are doing the analysis, they have to convert the data. Convert the data mean that they are going to suppose the sale for the whole day. Okay, now so this is a transformation for individual transaction. They need to aggregate all the data to convert to the form where they are going to perform the business for the whole day. It could be weekly, it could be monthly, something like that. As the different intelligent techniques are available, you might be aware of the concept of happy hour, because in certain time of the day the number of customer coming to your shop is very less. Now by giving the happy hour offer, you are going to give more sale if the people is coming between a certain period of time. So there are different way the data you need to transform, and then the pattern evaluation is coming, that how after doing the analysis, the different patterns you are getting, you need to find it out which patterns are interesting for your business. So you are going to analyze on that, and finally based on that you are going to represent your knowledge. And this knowledge is what I told is like that how much production you are going to increase for this period of time next year, and accordingly for that how much raw material supply you are going to into the purchase of raw material, how much you are going to increase. So these are the different things that we consider. Now I am coming to the very interesting area which is called online analytical processing. Now there is a confusion among many people what is meant by online. Many of the people online mean only consider they are available in the internet and the green button is working. It's not like that. The online mean it is readily it could be processed. That is the feature of online. Now why for the analytical process online term is required? I like to give an example. Suppose a business meeting is going on for a they have the top level officials like CEO, managing director, and these type of people. Now, in order to make their business more better, they will come up with the many ideas and they will look to the different type of data that are available. Now, obviously, they are not looking to the individual transaction, the type of transaction that I told that the sale for a month or a sale for a week. This type of they are interested about this type of thing. Now, if the in the meeting the people say that I require for this particular month, it is not like the someone will write the query and then you are getting the result, because it is going to, and moreover it is going to take huge time because the data amount with this they are working, that will take huge amount of time. So it's not the meeting cannot be concluded. So what is important for the analytical, in order to take the different analytical decision, what are the different possible query? For that the data should be readily available for that. That's mean prior hand we should did the different processing, so that the different queries that can be come from these different top level officials of the organization, they will, when they ask for a particular business related query, they are getting the result immediately. So this one is very important, that they are getting the data immediately. Due to that reason it is called online. Now what happened that in this particular thing, why it is challenging, that I mentioned that the data are coming from the different sources and it could be multi-dimensional space. The multi-dimensional space means when we are doing the analysis, what could be the possible analysis? Suppose I am taking the example of the retail chain like Pantaloon, Big Bazaar. Their query could be like that: what is the amount of sale of say t-shirt of a party, say of turtle in Kolkata quarter 1. Now the different attribute that we are referring, these are the different dimension. What I told, t-shirt, so it's a type of the product. Turtle, that is the company. I talked about the Kolkata, so I am including city. I am talking about the quarter 1, say that's mean time. So these different attributes are forming the different dimensions of our query. So in data warehouse or OLAP processing, we really need to work with this multiple dimension. Now, if these multiple dimensions are being organized in the form of multi-dimensional system, that will be a very complex to view, because it will as the multi-dimensional array as we view, it is very difficult to view when I am going beyond 2 dimension, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's very difficult to view. So due to that reason, what happened? The people try to represent this system in terms of the traditional database, that is relational database management system. Now the system that we are coming up with this is called ROLAP, that is called relational online analytical processing. So this is the way how we are going to represent the thing, and the data warehouse is one of the very common way of representing the data. And in data warehouse we have 4 important points: subject oriented, integrated, time variant, non-volatile. Now first term that is given over here is called subject oriented. The subject oriented means for organization when they are doing business, they need to analyze from different perspective. Obviously sales is one perspective, another perspective is that how they are procuring the raw materials, how the products are going to be reach the different store, that is the supply chain management part of, and how we are maintaining the relationship with the customer, so this is the customer relationship management. So there are different things within a business organization they need to think, and this every separate thing that I talked about are the different subject. Next point is given integrated. I have already discussed, so I am not discussing it further. The next point is being talked about is time variant. The time variant means the data should comprises of different time period. Now, why this is very important from different time period? Because if unless we take the data from different time period, you cannot incorporate different amount of uncertainty. Different amount of uncertainty regarding the uncertainty. This COVID-19 gives you the probably the best example regarding the uncertainty. Many of the organization was doing their business quite well, then the lockdown started due to COVID-19 and the entire business plan disrupted. So it is also important that even your organization is doing business quite well, you must have the during the analysis that if something negative happen to your organization, to the business environment, how you are going to cope up with that. Now if you have the data for a long period, that is going to help you. So even when the market is going quite well, it is better that you should keep some amount of data that have been taken from the decision period, because you again don't know that when this type of thing could happen, some negative thing happen. Even in the when you are going to the negative mode, it could happen that the business could take some turn. That one example could be that in this COVID-19, that many of the organization had a very bad business experience, went through loss. But those organizations, suppose who are preparing the sanitizer, who are preparing the mask, gloves, they get huge amount of business. So these are very interesting that if you are doing bad, even in the some organization in even in the bad economical condition can perform quite well, and the reverse is also true. So if you have the data from different time period and you mix them for your analysis, you will get a better result. And one very important thing is that these particular techniques are often known as ETL2 industry, that is called extraction, transformation and loading. In brief, extraction means that what I have already discussed previously. Extraction means you extract the data which are required for your analysis, then you go for the transformation, that this data might be from the every transaction I am taking, the weekly or monthly transaction that is taking place in your organization, and finally loading into the OLAP system. From the OLTQ system, data is in one format and you are taking to the OLAP system for the another format. Now till now, if you have any question, because after this I'm going to start the different data mining techniques, but before that I try to give you some idea, some real life business orientation, how this take place. So if any there is any question from the audience, there any question from audience? Any question from audience? It's not clearly audible.
No, sir.
Someone is asking the question. So if you can,
No, sir.
so there is no question.
No.
Okay. So I am again into the full mode. Okay.
Yes, sir. You can't.
Yeah. Now, in the data mining techniques, there are the different things are there. I shall discuss about the classification clustering in brief. Association rule mining, that I shall discuss in details. And there are other things: outlier detection, statistical methodology. And there are many things. Obviously, all the things are not possible to cover. So I am going to the one of the very popular one, which is called classification. Classification, we know that this one is called, that's mean what? Classification, we want to work with the label data. That's mean what happen when we are getting the input data, we try to map them to some known classes. That's means the data, when I'm talking about the known classes, that's mean the class label is already provided. So this is our motivation for doing the classification. I'm just going to a very simple example for our easy understanding. Here, suppose that in this particular picture, we can find there are two parameters have been given. One is shape, another one is color. Okay. Now, based on that, we try to identify these different fruits into different classes, which are already known beforehand. Apple, orange, mango, like this. Now, only we have worked with two parameter. Now, what happened? The classifier model, when we work for the classification of classifier model, it is really very difficult to get 100% correct result. Why it is very difficult to get 100% correct result? Because the data that we are getting are not known to us, because the nature of the data can also change. Here, for example, for the apple, it has been given the shape is round and the color is red. Now it could be possible that for the apple that we are getting in the market, often these are not red, even these are the white is little bit greenish thing is there. So in that case, the apple that we are getting, if we use this classifier model, it will fail. Sorry, it will fail to identify. So this is also important, that when new data is coming and we have certain error in our system, we are not getting the desirable output, we also need to update the system. So it could be like that. For the apple, I can say later on the color is red, or say I just say like white, or like the pinkish, something like that. So that is going to help you to have a better idea. Okay, now it could happen, suppose the apple that we are getting, that sometime it is not say round, the shape is little bit different from, suppose some of the apple is coming like that, so it will again fail. So if some other shaped apple is coming, we really need to identify the thing that these are the other shape that we should introduce in the data processing, so that we can correctly identify them. So it is very important that how we are going to update our model. Now, regarding the classification, what I have told, this is also known as this is a type of the supervised learning. Now, what happened in this supervised learning? In this supervised learning, we start with a certain input data. Now, we train the data. That is very important. The train the data mean what we do. Suppose we are getting suppose the total data is there, the input raw data. From that, for the 70% of the data, we will apply to train our model. So the features that have been given, like the in that particular picture, the shape and color, based on that we will train the model, and with the say remaining 30% of the data, we will try to find out how correct our data is. That's sorry, how correct our training model is, so that it could map to the correct output class. Now it is very difficult. If you really work with a very good model, very good quality of data, you never get 100%. Now if in research paper someone say that my classification means model is giving 100% result, you can understand that your paper could be rejected, that because you are actually either you are lying, or it could be like that the data with which you are working, that don't have the sufficient variation of the data, because there are often the problem called outlier. The outlier you might have that the particular data is have a very different characteristic than the other data, so it is not coming in the purview of the system, and this really happen in real life. You cannot map all the data correctly, so there should be some amount of error. So by telling, if you want to tell that you are coming, yeah, 100% is possible where you are very well aware about the system. Now if you are very well aware about the system and you are writing a paper for that, that is meaningless. So you should, in the research, you should try to come up with the, what I told, the new type of problem, challenging data set, and from that you try to map as much as possible. But getting 100% is impossible. In some of the paper, you can say that they are claiming this is a 100% data, 100% success they are getting. So you can find it out that this paper is a crash run. So when you are going to form a problem in the classification domain, make sure the data with which you are working, that has sufficient variation. Okay, so that will help you to also find out a good method, to find out a good method if you are modifying the existing method, so that you are getting could write a good paper. Now, for the real life example of classification, what are the things that, suppose handwritten digit recognition. Now, you are getting the, for the handwritten digit recognition, suppose you are working with the, you are taking the data set from the, from your word, you are typing some in Times New Roman, Courier, the well known fonts, and for that you say that my classification model is identifying 100% of them correctly. Obviously you can identify this work has no value. Now if you are working for a handwritten digit recognition, that your input data should be such that it could be a some torn paper, some very old paper, the handwriting are not very clear. You should work with this type of data, because that makes some sense that why you are doing research in this area. And why it is the class are labeled? Because you know that the digits are 0 to 9. You know the characters are A to Z in the capital letter and the small letter. There are certain special character only, are special characters. So you know that these every character or number could be mapped to this thing only. So due to that reason, these are very well known. Similarly, for email spam, we know that what are the different type of spam are coming to the system. So for that, you could have the label data. Similarly, for speech recognition, what are the different thing we actually say the different speech that could come. So for a particular module, the speech are known. So due to that reason, it is possible. And also for the image segmentation, that if you want to find it out whether this is a natural region, whether this is a man-made area, for when you are working in the area of cancer, it could be like that. When you are getting a picture of biopsy, it could either it has been affected, is malignant, or it is non-malignant. So these things are known. So due to that reason, these are the different area of classification where we can apply it. And there are the different methods for the classification. I think these things will be discussed later when the hand-on session will goes on. The different algorithm will be discussed in your hand-on session. Now, after the classification, our challenge is that the getting more complex when the data labels are not known. Initially, it was quite comfortable for us, we can say, because we know that what are the possible label of the data. But when I'm coming to the clustering or unsupervised learning, I don't know what is the plausible class level. Now, for the same picture, it is like that. Suppose you don't know that you are viewing these foods for the first time. You don't know whether this is apple, this is papaya, or something like that. So what could happen? You really need to identify the different patterns from there. In the previous case, you know that is the color, shape, and you know what are the possible color, what are the possible shape. But when you come into the unsupervised learning or doing a clustering line problem, you don't have this idea. The picture you are viewing, from that you need to identify that these could be the close pattern, and for that pattern you really need to understand the how we can identify the pattern close to the pattern that we have identified, and based on that you can do certain calculation for that. In the unsupervised learning, what will happen? You will not getting the training of data set, rather the interpretation is important. Based on this interpretation, you are going to apply certain algorithm, and by doing the processing you will get the output. Okay, and obviously what will happen, you need to, it could be possible that for different method you could get different number of clusters also. Okay, that is also important. And how the clustering could be become very useful, or the clustering can be correct, so that the different pattern that you are identifying, you can identify the different features from there, so that you can segregate them separately. And there is, what is the confusion, that sometime I am getting that one particular object is have the properties of this cluster also, another cluster also. Now this is a challenge whether I should put this one in cluster 1 or cluster 2, or you need to create another cluster, cluster 3. So this is a challenge over here. Now in clustering we get many real life interesting problem, because in clustering, as the class level are not known, the challenge is more. And in clustering you can have very different type of interesting problem. For example, the first problem that I have been given, the example that I have given here, deploying towers in a region to set up mobile network. Why this one is very interesting and classified as a and going to be a clustering problem? Because no city, no rural area are same. Different city has their different demography. Okay, so due to that reason, what is going to happen? You need to consider different issues for setting up the tower. For example, even few years ago, the very few people are living at Newtown area. Okay, so the required amount of bandwidth or the number of mobile towers required over that area was very small. Now, over the time, as more and more people are going to stay over there, you have to increase the capability capability of your infrastructure for the mobile phone company. Now the nature again could be different. Suppose in the majority of our area the buildings are suppose 4 to 5 story building. So in that case, the particularly if we look over, so that the tower the frequency should be available up to 6 floor building. Now in suppose in new town area, the most of the buildings are of 10 story, even 15-story building. So over there, when you are setting up the mobile infrastructure, the challenge is different. Okay, and one thing is that if more people are living in the in a 10-story or 15-story building, more people are living over there, so the number of mobile calls are going to be made from that particular area is going to be high. Okay, on the other hand, in some area of our city where there is no flat culture. So what will happen? The buildings are of 2 to 3 story. The number of people they are staying over there is less. So the bandwidth requirement will be less. In some area, suppose in our city, it is a plain land. There are certain city where within the city there is a mountain line structure. So what happened? This mountain line structure has divided the city into two parts. Okay, so there the deployment of tower will be different. So due to that reason, the setting up the tower in different city is categorized under clustering problem, as the you are not sure about the your problem domain, because it could vary from one city to another city. Another interesting thing has been given: stationing patrol vans to reduce crime in a city. Now one thing again, I like to take the example of the where the crimes are being taken. Most of the time the crimes are being taken place, the area where not the many peoples are moving. So even in the Rajarar Newtown area, when the construction of the building was going on, so what happened? The people are not staying over there. So in this type of area, doing the crime is easy because someone is going over there and you can do a crime with him or her, because there is no one to look into. So it is very important that how we are going to deploy the patrol vans in the different area. Now over the time, as the more people have started to stay over that particular area, now this become comparatively the possibility of crime will reduce as more people are going over there. So the doing a crime will not be easy. So these plans are continuously going to be updated. And another example has been given: opening emergency care wards in accident problem zone. Now what are the accident problem zone? For the accident problem zone, there are many things, that what type of vehicles are moving over there, what is the average speed of the cars are moving over there. These things are there. So how you are going to open the emergency care wards, you don't have any label data for that. So based on the accident taken place in the different area, you need to think of the emergency ward. Now over the time, it could happen that in the accident prone area, you limit the speed, you in the road the bumpers have been created so that the number of accident could reduce. So as the number of accident could reduce, the emergency care unit may not be required over there. But in some new area where less number of cars are going, and as they are moving at a very high speed, the emergency care unit might be required. So these are the very interesting things. So when you are going to do the research in these things, it is also important that in what particular problem domain, you are applying your methodology, because you can find it out that when I'm talking about these things, this is not under the machine learning. Rather, the problems you need to extract from here, these areas, and over there you are applying certain methods. So in order to do a good research in our domain, in computational domain, two things are required: the technical knowledge is obviously required, and also the domain knowledge or the business where you are going to apply your method. Now if you are able to integrate both of these, you could write a very good paper, because identifying a problem is very important. You are learning that machine learning methodologies that are very good, but unless you find out suitable application area to apply these methods, you will not able to write a very interesting one. Because when I just like to suggest the area that when we are writing the papers and submit to the journal, sometimes the reviewer just send the journal by saying it is not in the area of the scope of the journal. But what happened, that they could find it out that sometimes the paper that you are writing, it has been studied many times, and you are not coming up with so many interesting problem to them. now one thing is that if you are coming up with a very good technical solution, the people, the reviewer might not look, editor may not look into this unless they find that the problem area where you are applying, it is very interesting. So due to that reason, it is very important that when you are learning the machine learning methodologies, you should look into the different system where this has been applied, and you also try to find it out this area where you can apply these methods. So there are certain methods of clustering. I believe some of this will be covered in the hands-on session. And now I am going to another very interesting topic, which is called association rule mining. Okay, so in association rule mining, what happened that this is a very common form of the business problem, where what we try to do is that we try to find the association among the different data. So in order to find out the association among the different data, what is why and why it is important? Because if we can identify the nature of one particular type of data, and based on that if we could take the decision for another particular type of data, that is going to be very much useful. I like to give certain real life example. What I told, that suppose this COVID diseases has taken place. Okay, now if later on, hope this does not going to happen, any other disease like this again spread later at some time. Okay, now if we use the this type of thing in the share market, what we can find, the in order to protect the people from that particular disease, what equipments or medical instruments are required or medicines are required, the companies which are producing this particular product will be beneficiary. So the people who are doing the investment in the share market will look into this, that if a disease like this spread out, that what are the different solution for that, and the people who are doing investing in share market will do the in to try to find out that in order to cope up with these diseases, the solution, the medicines, the instruments that are required, which companies are producing these things, so the people are going to invest over there. So this is the thing. So now this is a type of knowledge from the past event, we learn the thing, and based on that the people are applying the knowledge to do this particular thing. Now why this one is very interesting, another thing I can say, that when we used to go to the shopping malls, it is very important to find it out the how they have organized the different product. For example, if we are going to purchase bread, now what will happen, that beside the bread, the in the shopping mall, the different things like the butter, jam, things are milk are being purchased. So if in the showroom along with the butter these things are being kept, what is going to happen, so as you are going to purchase the butter, it could come into your mind, okay, I require the, along with the bread I might require the milk, I might require the butter. Now the organization of the product can help you to for the more sale of the product. Okay, so this is the beauty of the association rule mining, that how I can define the rules between the different objects, different things, so that I can incur more business, because ultimate outcome is that how we can increase the business. So for that reason we are going to find it out that how we can establish the association. And the thing is that once we are going to find the association quite well, we can do many good things, because another thing could be possible, you are finding that the sale of your product has increased for that particular time, but in order to produce that particular product you need the required raw material, and you are purchasing the raw material from another company. Now it could be possible you have identified that you need to increase your business, but what happened, in order to increase the business, you are planning to purchase the different raw material from the your supplier. It could happen your raw material supplier may not give you the that particular raw material, because their product what they are producing has been already purchased by your competitor. So it is also important that when we are predicting, forecasting, in this, how the association among these things are being mapped. It is very important. Now if we do now, as early as possible you can identify this, you will get a better business solution. Okay, now even in our current context thing that we are right now we are coming using different online meeting in different platform like Google Meet, Skype, Zoom, Microsoft Team, like this. Now we never thought that this online meeting will be so frequent right now, but the company which already have these products for executing the online meeting. So what happened when the problem started and the people understood that they, in order to keep the business going on, the different academic program going on is to be carried out through the online platform. So those organizations who already had the online meeting platform, they got the better business, because those things are good for that only. They are getting these things quite well. Okay, so it is very important that from different event how well you can identify the different association between the different parameters, different attributes. Because when within a computerized system, whatever the business we are understanding, but the representation in terms of certain attributes, certain parameters, certain data only. Now these things are very important how we are organizing them, because I am identifying the association, but ultimately the association between what it will be in terms of certain attribute only, certain parameters only. So this is the way we should think of representing the problem. And when we are trying to build the association among the different issues, it is important for us that how this association could be identified. And the again I am repeating that how as early as possible we can identify the association, we can get the better business. Now for this association rule mining, I am presenting an example. In this particular example I am showing the different transaction. In first transaction, the different transaction could be thought of can be thought of like this, that one particular customer purchased bread, peanut, milk, fruit, jam. The second customer has purchased bread, jam, soda, chips, milk, fruit. The third one, like this. Now what is our problem is that how many the people who have purchased bread, how many of them has purchased milk? How the people who have purchased bread, how many of them purchased jam? So these are the thing that we want to identify from here. Now from this particular slide we will get about the certain definition. What is the item set mean? That with how many with how many data we are going to analyze. For example, if we talk about milk, bread, jam, it's a 3 item set. Or if we take the milk, bread, jam, fruit, it will be a 4 item set. So that's important. The our motivation is to find the frequent items. The frequent items set mean that what things are being purchased together. That is our motto. So accordingly we will plan our business. Now we are going to find it out some definitions also, that support count. The support count means frequency of occurrence of an item set. The support count of milk bread is 3. That's mean in this particular table given beside you will find that milk and bread occurred 3 times in the system. Okay, soda and chips. That's mean it has been purchased by the. If we say that the every TID correspond to different customers, so 4 of the customers has purchased these soda and chips together. And there is another definition called support. The support mean we will consider the number of transactions in the system, and for that how many of them this particular pair is true. Okay, not only pair, it could be higher value, higher for it can be for higher items set also. So for milk bread it is 3 by 8, because we have 8 transaction. Out of the 8 transaction, in 3 of the transactions milk and bread has been purchased together. In 4 of the transactions soda and chips have been purchased together. Now the definitions have been given of support, that is already I've discussed. And the next one is confidence. That as a name is there, confidence is something like that. How it has been given, that if a people purchase bread, how many of the time the people are purchasing milk? This is the way how the confidence is being defined. Now the how the if we pictorially we want to understand this, what we will find that the customer purchasing the product individually, that is talking about the support of the product, and when we are taking the common of them, we are getting the confidence. Okay. Now, what happened if we look at the confidence that with along with the bread and jam, the milk. Okay. Now, one thing is that the support is same for all of these. Why support is same for all of this? Because I am working with bread, jam, and milk together. So bread, jam, and milk has been purchased 3 times out of the 8 of the transaction. So it is always same bread, jam, milk together. But now, if we look at the confidence, what is going to happen? We will find that bread, jam, and regarding bread, jam, and milk, if we take them together, we can find that bread and jam has been purchased in transaction number 1, transaction number 2, transaction number 3, and transaction number 5. So it is there for 4 times. And bread, jam, milk together that have been present in transaction number 1, transaction number 2, transaction number 5. So what happened? Out of the 4 times, 3 times these have been purchased together. So due to that reason, confidence is 0.75. Now, if anyone have any question to understand, any problem to understand this? Any have any confusion, any question to understand this?
Sir, please explain the line number 4 and 5. A is equals to 0.38 and C equals to zero point 0.6 and zero
Okay.
point 0.5.
Now, one thing, 0.38, it is
Same
for
for all.
it will why? Because I am taking bread, jam, and milk together. Okay. Now, bread, jam, and milk have been there in transaction 1, 2, and 5. Fine.
Hmm. Okay.
So as it is in 1, 2, and 5, so out of 8, 3 times is there. Now, suppose if we take for the last one, milk to bread jam. Okay. Now you can find it out. Milk. Milk is present in what transaction? Milk is present in transaction number 1. Milk is present in transaction number 2, transaction number 4, transaction number 5, transaction number 6, transaction number 7. So in 6 of the transactions, milk is present. Present. Okay. Now here we are looking the in the last
Sir,
one. Yeah, tell.
sir, please tell again about confidence.
Okay, the confidence. One thing, what you understand by confidence? The confidence is like that. Even if you are telling a lie, your friend will support that in front of your parents. Somehow, this is the confidence. Okay. Now, similarly, here, what is the confidence here? If we, I'm in this particular slide. If we look into this, the x to y, if it is given, this that mean what? That if x is being purchased, y is also purchased along with this. Okay. Now in this example, when I'm talking about that of the bread and milk, if you look at this example, that's mean if we purchase bread, how many times the people is also going to purchase milk? Is it clear? So here the x to y form that has been given. So if you have purchased x, how many times you are also purchasing y along with this? Is it clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Hmm. So what I'm talking about, the this particular example, the confidence from between milk to bread jam. So that's mean what we need to look that how many times milks have been purchased. You can find it out. Milk has been purchased 6 times in transaction number 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Next, we are going to look that how many times the prepared people are purchasing milk, bread and jam along with milk. We will find this as happening in transaction number 1, 2, and 5. Okay. So what happened? It will be 3 by 6. So that is 0.5. Now, for any one of these, you just as your assignment or your task, you just calculate the confidence from bread to milk jam. Bread That's mean how many times the people has purchased milk and jam along with bread. Now this table is open to you. Now you just do the computation. You just do the computation for this. Obviously, the support that we don't need to calculate because that will be same in every case, and you just compute the confidence.
The 3 by 4.
Yeah, this is 3 by 4.75. Yes, that is given here.
4 times bread are in the table
Hmm.
with
And three
jam
times
and 3 times with
milk is
uh,
3 times.
hmm,
Yes,
3 by 4.
correctly. Okay, now this is a very simple thing, but the its implication is very high. Its implication is very high because here what actually happened that from this we will get the idea. Look, one thing is that it is not that this will be true always, and in this particular system, you really need to apply the system continuously. For example, I like to say cheese around 15-20 years ago don't consume cheese. Okay, so at that time the sale of cheese was so less that we may not even consider cheese in Indian market for doing this analysis. But right now what happened, you know that cheese is getting huge popularity, especially the kids like cheese very much. So now the cheese will come as the consideration. Okay, so this is also important because how our business is changing. If the business is changing, obviously in your system, the change of business can be represented in terms of the data only. Okay, now why the domain knowledge or this type of things are getting very much interesting, because these things are getting very much interesting because unless you are not analyzing your business, not understanding the business, you will not get the proper result. You cannot do the analysis properly. Even it's a very simple thing, but this simple thing can make lot different to your business. That some product which was not popular earlier now getting very much popularity. Okay, now here I am analyzing the things as a whole, the bread, milk, fruit, jam, like this. Now if you have the when you are selling the product, suppose of the different companies altogether. For bread there are different supplier, for milk there are different supplier, for jam, for everything. Now what is very important, the important thing could be, if you want to do the analyze at more detailed level, what you need to do, you also need to look at the company names. Now for what company the people are preferring, the bed of what company is being preferred by the people. Similarly for milk also, for what company it is being preferred by the people, and there could be certain companies what are not preferred by the people. It could happen that milk is available but the people is not purchasing that milk because it belongs to one particular company. Okay, so in order to make your business further better, what you will understand that this particular the business, the milk from company A is not preferred one. So even if you are keeping the stock of that, the people are not purchasing that, even the milk of other companies are not available. So how you can make your business further better, your analysis further better, you can do your business analysis further better when you are analyzing the system in terms of more data, more parameter. Now why I am talking this, here you cannot do this because here you have only in the form of bread, milk, fruit jam, like this. Now, in order to do that particular analysis, the company wise analysis, in your analysis, you need to feed the data like that, that this milk is from the mother dairy, metro dairy, ITC, red cow, like this. Maybe one of them has higher preference, another one has less preference. Now, you can find that the ratio of selling, it could be like that the company A has more customer but company B also has the customer, but it could be like that out of the 10 milk sold, 4 from one company, 3 from another company, 2 from another company. So when you are ordering the product from the different supplier, you should maintain the ratio. Now, why I'm talking this, you can understand that how our problem is getting more complex. You can think, okay, milk is available, the people will purchase. Now, later on, you are doing the analysis that the milk is available, but the people are not purchasing because this particular company is not preferable one. So what you are doing now, if you are purchasing the milk in the same or same quantity from different company, you will find that your products are not being sold. On the other hand, if you change the ratio, you are getting better business. So you can understand that this is also part of the analysis. Now, how you are representing the data, that makes the difference. If you are taking milk as a whole, you cannot do this analysis, but when we are taking the milk in terms of the company, you can do this analysis. Due to that reason, the representation of data is very important, and in this way we can extend the problem, we can find it out more research problem like this. Okay, so if you have any question, you can ask me, that you can have some idea that how we are going to do the analysis like that. Even from here you can think that, sir, how can we do the analysis like this. So if you have any question, this is very important. I am looking for that. Do you have any question? Any question? Okay, if you don't have any question, in the next days when the hands-on session will goes on, the sir will talk you about the many different problems, okay, maybe from classification, clustering, and it will be very good if you can ask him that how these things are going to be applied, or you can think that, sir, whether I
Sir,
can apply. Tell.
sir, one question is,
Sure.
sir, what is interpreted through the term? What is interpreted through the term minimum supported threshold? Please explain.
Okay, I shall explain it later, but as you have asked this, look, when I am going to do this analysis, obviously this is a very simple analysis with only 8 transactions. In real life, you can understand that the number of transactions taken place in a big bazaar, pantaloon size store is huge. Now, all these are not going to be interesting. Now, it could be like that. The support count that we are getting, suppose 3 for milk bread, soda chips 4. Okay, now, in order to do the analysis, is also very important. You are doing the analysis with the important data. Now, here, how you are going to get this important data in this particular context? The important data is if this particular support count is high. Okay. Now, if I am working with suppose 50,000 data, over 50,000 data, if I take the support count as 2, that would be very less. Okay, so that's mean if I take at least some of the products are bought thrice, that I shall take. Is it clear? For example, those products we will consider or those pair we will consider when the number of purchase altogether is say 3. Then, so that's mean for which pair the number of transaction is 2 or less than 2, we will not take those for our analysis. So this is the minimum support. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, again, this one is also very interesting thing that if you have asked, because we do research in these areas, that one thing I just like to say, because just try to give you the idea. Look, one thing could be possible later I shall discuss. If we go to this particular example, we are working with bread, jam, and milk, but as we changing the combination, we are getting different value in the confidence. Okay, now in order to make the problem more interesting, in order to infer more data, what is going to happen? Suppose I am for some analysis, suppose we are taking the confidence value, it should be less greater than 0.55. Okay, so in that case, what will happen? This milk to bread jam will not come. Fine, but it could happen. We can find the value of bread jam is quite high. Along with milk, this one comes down. Carefully listen what I'm talking about. It could happen milk to bread jam is not coming because milk along with bread jam the value is quite less, but bread jam itself is coming higher number of times. So when I am doing this particular analysis, we should take all the say we should take all the combinations along with bread jam for which the individual sale of particular item is more than that. That's mean even if we are follow, because look, in the association rule mining, the how we are going to form the rule, that is in our hand. There are certain standard methodology obviously, but when we are doing the analysis, this is going to be very much interesting. Okay, so when you are thinking of the research problem, you try to dig into it and find out what could be the possible thing, because these also happen one sometime, that in our one of my research of the distributed database, we are trying to form a materialized view that when we are increasing the support count, what happened that if the support count is less, what we are supposed to get, support count is less mean what we will get more value. But when we are forming the materialized view, what happened that when we are increasing the support count, we are getting some cases we are getting more number of views. That was quite interesting for us. So it is very important when you are applying this, and what happened that when you are increasing the support count, the materialized view size that we are getting, that is a little bit more. But what happened in materialized view, we form in order to increase the heat ratio. Interestingly, we get better heat ratio and get a better load balancing, because by increasing the support count, we are getting less number of materialized views. Okay, but the size of the materialized view is high and we are getting better heat miss ratio. So when you are doing the research, it is very important that the algorithm with which you are working, you apply from the different perspective. Even if you are getting better result, you also explore in terms of different variation of the parameter, you might get better result, because in result is also like a clustering. You really don't know that what you could get, but it depends how much you are giving effort, how much you are exploring with the data, and you could get better result. One particular thing I like to mention here, and obviously the hands-on session will goes on, your teacher will say, suppose we are learning one method of classification, one method of clustering, like that. Now the question is that whether can we apply
Sir,
tell.
someone is asking how to determine the minimum support threshold.
There is no hard and there is no particular method of defining the particular minimum threshold. One thing is that when we are doing computation, one of the big issue is that how much time it is taking to execute a particular algorithm. Okay, now if you take less amount of minimum support, what is going to happen, the number of transaction will be high because you are selecting more data. Now in order to execute, you might find that the computation time that is taking, it is too high. Okay, so by selecting a minimum threshold which is very less in number, you can incur very high computational time. On the other hand, in order to avoid that, you might think that I can going to take a high minimum support count. Now if you are taking high minimum support count, what will happen, you will get very few frequent items said. Now that will be very much less. So you really need to explore with how much you need to do, and there is no hard and fast rule for that. And what I told, that what you are taking today may not be correct tomorrow, because what I told, cheese is not popular 10-15 years ago, but right now cheese is getting very interesting. And sometime when you are doing the analysis, you may discard the old data. Okay, because the old data may be misleading, because the way the people are consuming the food, that has been changed. Obviously the modern day, the kids in your home don't eat the healthy foods. Okay, they are looking for the noodles, they are looking for the pasta, something like that. Now if we take the data from 15 years ago, we will find that there is a very few people who are purchasing pasta, noodles, like noodles are say the pasta the people are purchasing, cheese the people are purchasing. So you need to work with new set of data also, that is also your domain knowledge. Is it clear? So you cannot actually fix it. And I am going to say one more thing. After learning, suppose classification, clustering, certain methodology, if you feel that I can apply these data on every type of data and you will get the result, it is not going to happen. For example, for cell forecasting, the nature of data is of one type. Now, when you are doing the identification of the malignant cell in your body, okay, the data available for this biomedical application or the bioinformatics application, that data nature is different. Now you can find it out that I want to apply classification, but the same classification method might give better result in the case of the identification of the malignant cell, but it may not give the same efficient result for cell forecasting. So there is no hard and bound rule. You really need to play with your data. You need to apply different methodology and then really need to understand that why this particular methodology is working fine for this set of data but not is fine working well for this sets of data. So the way we are learning should be like this. So similarly, when for one particular application, when you are choosing one particular data for minimum threshold, for another application you need to choose might be higher, might be lower. There is no fixed rule for that. But what is the rule for minimum frequent? That one thing we need to keep in mind, that our computation time is not getting too high. On the again, we are not, on the other hand, we are also not choosing such a high value of minimum threshold so that the frequent item set is very less. Okay, so you really need to trade off between them. Any question?
Sir,
Natal?
Sir,
Sir, one is what is the difference between confidence and hit and miss ratio?
Look, heat and
Both seems to be somewhat similar.
no. Actually, what happened? The heat miss ratio that I am talking about, the common heat miss ratio in terms of cache memory. That I talked about one particular application. That one, the materialized view. We have used association rule mining to form the view. So they are these are two. These things are not related. Heat miss is a heat miss. What you know in the in order to study the memory, these are not related. But what I am talking about, we formed a particular materialized view application by looking the association between the attributes. Okay, so we applied association rule mining to form the materialist view, and heat miss ratio we are taking in order to understand that whether this methodology is going to, our proposed methodology is working fine or not. These are not at all related. For that particular application only I talked about this.
sir, another question is here.
Okay.
When when we apply this model in real life scenario, we need to update model with time or not?
Obviously, we may need to update the model over the time, because it could be like that we are working with, suppose suppose the frequent item set we are getting 4 data. Later on we might working with 6 data. I just give you I shall go there. I'm just showing you this slide. Now if I in this particular figure we are working with 6 different data, so we are the structure that we are getting, it consists of 2 to the power 6 nodes. Okay, now later if we are working with 8 frequent item in the selection, our model size will increase from 2 to the power 6, it will go to the 2 to the power 8. So if your model change, your underlying infrastructure you also need to change, because you may need to do, obviously you will need to do more number of computation over the time in a system. The number of transaction will increase. So in this way what actually happen, that you need to upgrade your model over the time, you need to upgrade underlying infrastructure over the time. And one for one particular suggestion I like to give you, that suppose in our home we have a machine with 4 GB RAM, maybe 8 GB of RAM. Okay, now in when you are doing computation over large data, you might require RAM maybe of 64 GB. Now it is not really possible to purchase a RAM of 64 GB, but there is a solution right now. You are aware of the different web services Amazon is giving very most popularly. Now you can also purchase the infrastructure as a service. That's mean for certain amount of time you want to do your the computation in 64 GB RAM. So you pay for to the Amazon for using 64 GB RAM for a certain amount of time. Okay, so you should as you will do the people who will do the research in the area of machine learning should also know how to use these web services for your computation, because you need to work with huge amount of data, and you cannot have the RAM in your that size of data RAM in your in the form of RAM in your machine. So you need to go for the purchase of web services to use the memory, or otherwise if you have the SSD hard disk, this can you use as RAM. There is a certain methodology how you can use SSD hard disk as RAM. This is some idea I'm giving you, because you really need to work with huge amount of data, variation of data to get the good result. Okay, any other question?
Yes, sir. Another question. Sir, how to design a model in such a way that it handles such large amount of computations?
Again, this type of question, there is no particular answer. You need to understand, first thing is that the business domain of that particular problem. Now you need to find it out what particular method is going to be suitable to apply. In classification and clustering, you will get many method. You really need to find it out that what particular method is going to be the most suitable for that. For example, when we are going to apply clustering, we feel okay, apply k-means, because this is the easiest way, this is the most simple one. You will find many paper where the people have applied k-means for doing the clustering. Okay, now later on many problems have been identified and the people try to apply other clustering method over there. They introduce more data parameter for analysis like this. Even I am repeating the same thing, how we can make our analysis better. When we are taking the, what I told, bread, jam, milk, we are taking all together. Now later on, when in order to take more finer decision in our business, we are looking to the company who are producing the milk. Now obviously you can find it out, the size of the data increases hugely. You are considering only milk. Now you have 5 supplier of milk. When you are representing the data, your data has been increased drastically, but just by introducing the name of the company. Now for all of these 8 products that have been given here, probably there are 8 products, bread, peanut, milk, fruit, jam. When you are going to consider the name of the company, so it could be like that, for one, for milk there are 5 company, for bread 4 company. So the size of the data which has been 8, now it can go up to 30. Now the your size has been increased hugely, and your obvious the size of the data is increasing hugely. Along with that, you are expecting better business result because you are doing analysis based on that. Even furthermore, what could happen, that you know that the milk that are available in the market, single tone, double tone. Now even if you are going to consider those things, your data size will increase. Now this is the way how you are going to do this. Now along with this more parameters you are considering, the previous model was better to work with small amount of data, with small feature of data, but as you are considering higher amount of data, higher number of feature, this the existing model may not be suitable. You need to apply another one. In the machine learning methodology, we actually do like this. Okay, that if the size of the data increase, if the nature of the data changes, if the number of parameter increase, how we are going to cope up with this. So for that, the most important thing is that you should study the paper. One very wrong approach for us when we are doing the research, we are learning one methodology. We feel okay, just apply that one on the given data. Even right now, once you learn Python, you don't even need to write the code. You just call the library, you will get certain result. But it's a very wrong way of doing the learning. Once you are going to do this, you find it out different good papers where this method have been applied. Okay, and it is also a challenge to learn what papers are good. So your guide or the people, the seniors will help you to find out what are the good papers. Therefrom you try to identify that how much amount of research has been taken place in that particular area. From the paper you try to identify what are the limitations, shortcomings of this particular method. Then you think of another one. Obviously for learning the language you can apply your data, apply a particular algorithm on a given data. But when you are doing the research, you have to read the paper quite well. The paper which have been already published, you go through them, get more idea, then you can do a good research. There are a very wrong approach. We are applying the method one data and we think okay, we are getting certain result, my research is done. Don't be in that trap. Okay. Any other question? Any other question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
sir.
And what I shall again suggest to you, because the participants who are here, many of you might be faculties, are going to start their research work. So as this workshop will goes on, and when Professor Goswami or Professor Chakraborty will take the classes, try to understand how the research are being performed. You will learn Python, you will learn certain algorithm, but try to focus that how this could be effectively applied, how you could form certain problems from here. Because if you try to learn like this, you will really be learn how to do the research, because otherwise this is not going to be fully effective for you, especially the faculties who are participating. For them, you start to think like this, that when we are studying a particular problem, how we can apply them, why you are going to apply this particular method. Okay, you should do these things, and that will help you to become a good researcher over the time. Okay, now I am okay. So by doing this particular so what we could happen, that for all the product that are there, for that we can do the try to find out the association rule. Now if we try it for the all possible combination, this will be called brute force. The brute force mean what? It work with all the values. Now if we work with all the values, the size of the data will be quite high. For example, that this particular picture I show you earlier, if we work with six data A, B, C, D, E, and if it is we count, we will get we have 2 to the power 6. That means 64 nodes are here. Obviously, this is very high for computation. Sorry, we have A, B, C, D 5. So 2 to the power 5, 32 data, 32 combinations we are getting. Now, if it is just 10, it will be 1024. For 11, it will be 2048. And in real life, when the organization is doing the analysis, they are selling huge amount of product. If you look, forget about this thing, the big bazaar pantaloons thing. If you think about the Amazon, in Amazon, in online platform, they are selling, probably you cannot count how many products they are selling. Now if we want to generate all possible combination for that, so it will be what, 2 to the power 2 to the power 1000 or 2 to the power 2000. So it's obviously impossible to calculate. Okay, so due to that reason, we really need to have certain methodology by which we could reduce this calculation. So in order to reduce this calculation, we require the concept of minimum support count. That's mean if a product has been sold for certain amount of time, then only we are going to consider. Now, if we do like this, I'm just going to jump into this particular picture. Suppose we have minimum support count over here is suppose 4. Now that's mean if we look at this particular picture, that's mean A, B, C, D, E has been the product A, B, C, D, E has been separately purchased more than 4 times. Okay, now when AB, that's mean A along with B has been purchased, that is less than 4. Okay, now if A and B has purchased less than 4 times, obviously ABC, ABD, ABE or ABCD, ABC cannot be purchased more than 4 times. So once we have find it out that AB is less than 4, so all the combination that have AB will be less than 4, and the benefit is that we can reduce the huge number from here. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Or should I repeat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this particular concept is called a priori principle. In a priori principle, what happened? In a priori principle, we try to reduce the item set. Okay, we try to reduce the number of items to be generated. Now, obviously, you can find it out with this particular computation. We can reduce it hugely. So from brute force, if we have in brute force, we have to check everything, but as the size is too high, we look again. If we look that how the people thought a concept like a priori, suppose a priori was not there, the people started to thought that brute force is there. By brute force we can find all possible combination and manual, and for each of them I need to calculate, but that is going to be very costly thing. So what the people started to think, how can we reduce the computation? So that was the thought at that time. So based on that, the problem was that I need to reduce the number of item set generation, and as a solution of that, this particular concept came, where if the count for a particular item is less than the given threshold, then that particular item set is present in whatever of the other item set, that should also be less. So this is the solution. But the most important thing is about the problem. As the problem is there, the people thought of this solution. Okay. Now, if we just look at this, what I have told, that what if the number of candidate is m, the number of in using brute force, it will be 2 to the power d, and it's called a lattice like structure. I'm not going to the details of lattice, but it's a lattice. Even in data warehouse, if you have studied, the lattice is there also. And now how we can reduce the computation? We can reduce the computation if we could reduce the number of transactions as well as the number of comparison. That was our, so if we are doing a research, for research, our, if we look from the technical perspective, our motivation are two, there are two motivation: how to reduce the number of transaction, how to reduce the number of comparison. Now this is the way how we are defining the problem. After defining the problem, we are coming up with a solution like this. Okay. Now in this particular example, what benefit we are getting is that we are working with the previous one, with the previous example that I have shown you, where based on which we do the certain computation. So what is there in that particular example? Bread has been purchased 4 times, peanuts 4 times, milk 6 times, food 6 times, like this. Now here we are taking minimum support count of 4. So what will happen? So if we are taking minimum support count of 4, steak, cheese and yogurt will not come. What will come? We will going to work with the remaining of the combination. That's mean we will take bread, peanut, milk, fruit, jam, soda. So we are going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So from 10 we are coming to 7 only. Okay. Now for 7 of these we are going to look at the possible combination which is greater than equal to 4. Now you can find it out how drastically the computation came down. Okay, whether you have understood this particular example, or should I repeat? Have you understood this, or should I repeat? Anyone has any confusion?
No, sir, you can
Okay.
continue.
Okay, thank you. So this is the way how a priori works. So as we, so what is the good thing? That we are working with the minimum support count. Based on minimum support count, we
Sir,
are, yeah, tell.
sir, someone requested to repeat.
Okay,
Please.
surely. Look, the particular table, this particular table, in this particular table, if we look, what we are doing from here, we are looking individual items have been purchased for how many times. So from there, we are getting this particular table, that bread has been purchased 4 times, peanuts 4 times, milk 6 times, like this. Now, the minimum support count has been given as 4. So as the minimum support count has given as 4, what will happen in the next level? What you will generate, you need to take that how many times bread and peanut has been purchased, how many times bread and milk have been purchased, bread and fruit, bread and jam, bread and soda. Next, how many times peanut and milk, peanut and fruit, peanut and jam, peanut soda, peanut chips, milk, fruit, milk jam, milk soda, milk chips. Okay, so you will exclude steak, cheese and yogurt. So you don't need to take in any computation this thing. Okay, otherwise what would happen? The number of computation could be high. Now when you are computing, suppose bread, peanut, bread, milk, you are also looking that how many times these have been purchased. If it has been purchased, sorry, any question? Any question? Okay. Now we will look, we will only take those items which has been purchased 4 times or more than 4 times, those are taken in the next table. And as we are taking two items here, it is called two item set. Okay, so in the next level, what we are going to do here, we are getting bread jam. Okay, so with the bread jam we will find another combination where either bread or jam are there. So along with that, we will find with bread jam we have the, suppose jam and soda is there, so we will take a bread jam soda and check whether, if we take three of them together, whether that is more than four or not. Now we are getting only one combination where we are getting milk, fruit and soda. And the thing is that as we are getting only one item, what is going to happen? You don't need to form the four item set, five item set like this. So you just find it out how drastically the computation has been reduced. And this is the beauty of the a priori algorithm. Any question? Any question?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay. Now the logic of the a priori algorithm logic has been given here. So what we are starting? We are starting with only one item set initially. Then we are
Sir,
taking tell.
sir, in the previous two, if I milk, fruit, and fruit soda, sorry, milk, it will be milk,
Fruit and
fruit,
soda has been
soda.
purchased four times altogether. Any
That
question?
is,
I think your sound is not clear.
sir, milk,
You
fruit, and
ask
milk.
the question in the chat box.
Okay,
Okay, so you ask the question in chat box and someone will read it out and I shall give the answer.
okay.
Okay, so please read out the question.
Yes, sir, we will. You please continue.
Oh, okay, I'm continuing. Okay, so how this particular algorithm is being written? The algorithm is written like we start with one item. Now with one item, we will look the count, and what we will do, we will continue this unless we are getting new item. And how it is being continued? We start with one item, then we are going with two item, three item, and till the point we are getting new values based on the given minimum threshold value. So we will continue like this. The algorithm has been given here, so I'm not explaining this. I'm just explaining this on how it is being done. It is the pseudocode, it has been written. So we have two stages here. One is joining and one is pruning. Pruning means we are removing the thing which are less than the threshold, and we are joining the items which are over the threshold. So in this way, this algorithm is being done. Now I am going to give a idea of the machine learning. Obviously, regarding the machine learning, many definitions are there. I just like to say that the definition I'm just reading out and then I shall explain. Machine, it's, look, the first definition that has been given is given in 1959, 60 years ago. Machine learning is the field of study which gives the computer the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Okay. Now, in order to understand the machine learning, why we can say the machine has no knowledge, we know how machines are being intelligent. They are being intelligent by writing different program initially, but in the case of machine learning, what will happen, a feature has been given without being explicitly programmed. I like to give an example. Suppose you have a kids in your house. A kid, unless know the fire is dangerous for him, that particular kid can go to the kitchen and can in the fire he or she can put his hand, because he or she don't know what is the possible danger. Now once he or she come to know that the fire is dangerous for him or her, for the next time onwards, wherever there is a fire that might be coming from the match or might be coming from the, say, the pradeeps that we use for the pujas, that particular kid will not do it. Now you can think that it is not again explicitly programmed, that whether there is a fire, whether once there is a fire, that particular kid will not put his hand over there, because he has learned this thing. Now whether that is coming from the gas, whether it is coming out of matches, or whether it is from the tears or something, the kid know that this could be the possible source of danger. Okay. So similarly, for machine, the thing is that if we are going to incorporate the knowledge into that, then only it can do these things. But over the time, what happened? It is like that the concept of machine learning has been changed from traditional programming. In the normal system, we know that the data is given, we are giving the program, writing the program, then the output is being generated. In machine learning, what is happening, this is very interesting, that the data is given, we know what is the output. For example, classification, we know what output we will get. Now we are right, the system will generate the program, because if you are trained the system with different algorithms, different logic, the system will tell you which one is the best program to shoot for that data and output combination. So due to that reason, I told you that when you are working in machine learning, it is not like that the same program is going to work for all the type of data. So you are giving the data, you are setting the output, then you need to find, the computer will generate the base program for you. But in order to generate the base program, obviously we need to train the machine like that. When we are doing the research, we will train the computer like that, so that from the next time onwards, the computer can find it out what is going to be the most suitable one, and accordingly the system will work. This is the machine learning. There are many things we will learn, but this is the basic. So due to that reason, the definition has been given: machine learning is a category of algorithm that allows software applications to become more accurate in predicting outcome without being explicitly programmed. So it is going to happen if we change the output, you may get a different program. The example that I have given, that for the particular example, when I am talking about the milk, bread, peanut, chips separately, and when I am telling that we, along with the name of the companies, the data, the outputs are being changed. Previous, the data has been changed. Initially the output was whether milk, whether bread, whether chips, but right now the output is that whether the bread of company A, whether the bread of company B, the milk of company C, milk of company D. So the output change, so your program will accordingly change. And many pictures have been given here about the different type of machine learning models that are available. Some of these will be taught in this workshop. And again, I am repeating, you go through them, understand the model, and understand the model from mathematical perspective. You will learn Python, you will get the library, but if you just apply the library without understanding the method, you cannot become a good researcher in this domain. You should understand this particular problem from the mathematical perspective, then you apply it, you can do very well in the domain of machine learning. So this is the end of my presentation. So if you have any question, further question, please ask me.